disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily That's My Point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Yeah.
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily That's My Point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Yeah.
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily That's My Point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Yeah.
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily That's My Point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
Today, simply call 08-600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Outsurance is a licensed insurer in FSP and T's and C's do apply.
Let's rewind 6 years when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
Masanda Wana ladies are not willing to settle for anything less than victory. However, First Touch ladies are confident they can silence the defending champions. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch Mamelodi Sundowns ladies versus First Touch ladies on Sunday 21 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, Think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
All right, Mzansi, 133 million rand in total guaranteed Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could change your life this Tuesday. That's right. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 70 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 63 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store via nationallottery.co.za or the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
hits collection project that you released a little while ago, Zama Jobe, coming through. The Ndawo singer actually celebrated 20 years of that particular debut project last year. Can you believe it's been 20 years, almost 21 years of Zama Jobe being in the music industry? Ageko is the name of the song, and it comes from the 2013 The Journey album, which was a collection of her hits from between 2003 to 2013. And that is how we kick off the show today. Hey, I hope you're having a good day thus far. Enjoying your Tuesday, being productive wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. From our end, it's good to be back with you. We've got lots on our agenda this afternoon, lots to get through. So we're going to try our very best to get going with this little train of ours. We're going to be catching up with South African poet, award-winning poet, author, and producer Lebu Mashile is going to be joining us in conversation. We're looking at Revolution of Words, a poetic uprising bridging generations. We're going to unpack a little bit more about this production that's coming to life at UJ's Arts and Culture in partnership with the Market Theatre. And then we're also going to touch base on some stages, pages, screens, and more, looking at a group exhibition called Impact is a Verb, and we're going to be in conversation with the curator of that particular exhibition. The other thing that we're going to be talking about today is the fact that South Africa needs around 30,000 new artisans each year. So we're talking trade schools with the new gen trade schools, and then I'll let you know what's coming up after 2 o'clock. But like I said, it's a jam-packed show today. There's lots on the agenda, and so we're going to keep the train moving. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, or of course 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. Let's take a quick pause, and then we come back and we get into conversation.
Lina Lakake Tlompokekana, I'm former Mamelodi Sundowns captain. I'm a sports analyst Lago SABC Sport. When I'm home, I try by all means to practice cooking. My favorite home cooked meal, I'll go for pap and masonja because I can prepare that with easy. What do I normally get up to when I get a moment to myself? I would easily, play my guitar. I try to practice a lot of Tracy Chapman. My favorite foreign language is French. Bonjour, comment ça va? So if I didn't play beautiful football, I think I was gonna be a baseball player. What do I like about SABC Sport is the fact that we given an opportunity to educate.
Catch the exciting Diski analysis by Sompo Long Range Kakana on match days live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
In fitness, as in finance, endurance is key. If you are 55 and older, you can get an interest rate of up to 10.62% with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Now feel the earn. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. For more info, visit nedbank.co.za.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
133 million rand in total guaranteed Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could change your life this Tuesday. That's right. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 70 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 63 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store or via nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking, or you can simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push a Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Sabawal to be winning at least 10 of that 133 million randles. Then I could join my first guest, Lebo Mashile, out in Trumpville and enjoy a beautiful vacation. It's been a long time, my sister, that we've spoken. Award-winning poet, author, presenter, and producer Lebo Mashile joins us now. She is globe-trotting in the States at the moment.
No, I'm not.
You are not?
I said to your producer, I'm not. I just got back. I've been back for a couple of days.
Oh.
But I was there for a while.
The jet lag has settled in. Okay. Good to hear your voice. It's been such a long minute since we've spoken. And very excited to hear more about this new poetry production that's coming to life at UJ Arts and Culture in partnership with the Market Theatre Foundation's Kwasha Theatre Company. And this is something that's written by you, Lebu, Revolution of Words. Let's start at the base by firstly just getting some context around this particular project.
So, a couple of years ago, I began a research associateship at the University of Johannesburg with their Arts and Culture department. UJ doesn't offer arts and culture as a degree, for example. Like, you can't go there and do a literature undergraduate like you would be able to do at WITS. But they do offer arts and culture. They expose their students to arts and culture as a discipline, and they expose it to students who are studying across different disciplines. So they do have I think a fine art, design, and architecture faculty. That's like their kind of creative faculty. But the students that get to study arts and culture are young people who are doing things like HR and business management and accounting and nursing and catering and food science. So it's interesting to see these young people who aren't necessarily aware of a passion for art be exposed to the arts. The other thing about UJ Arts and Culture is that it's an institution that's run by artists. So the people who work there are also playwrights and set designers and directors. And because of that, the kind of artists that pass through UJ Arts and Culture are people who are really making stuff happen. People like Kabiso Vili and Momo Matsunyane, artists like myself. What I love about them is that they seem to have a finger on the pulse of what people in this city are actually making, who is making an impact. So I've been doing this research associateship with them for a couple of years, which has led to me producing a number of projects with them, including this one, which is based on the grade 11 set works for poetry. My job was to figure out how to turn these set works, and I mean like what felt like a million of them across language, into a coherent story about South African poetry. And if in the beginning it was incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I asked Jade Bauer, who teaches at UJ Arts and Culture, who's also an award-winning theater maker, director, Standard Bank Young Artist of the Year award winner herself, and Kwaz Rut, who is a seminal poet, educator, writes in English and in Afrikaans, also teaches at UJ Arts and Culture, teaches poetry. I asked the two of them to help me to dive into these set works and see if we could find a story. And we spent a month sitting in Jade's studio at UJ doing that, kind of figuring out what the story of South African poetry is. And then we realized that what has happened is there's a story of South African poetry pre-apartheid and the story of South African poetry post-apartheid democracy. Democracy allowed for the injection of voices that had been locked out of literature, out of mainstream literature. It allowed for these voices to grow and flourish. Voices like mine, voices like other Black women, voices like queer writers, voices like people who are really at the critical edge of literature and poetry right now. So there was this beautiful tension and conversation between the past and the present, between the contemporary and history, and looking at the role of poetry as a vehicle that can help us to understand history and to understand the present. And how do we do that for young people who often, at school, I remember even the way I was taught poetry. If somebody had asked me in grade 11 if I was going to be a poet, I would have said no, based on the way that I was taught poetry. If somebody had asked me in grade 9, in grade 10, in grade 12, the way poetry gets taught at schools, and this is not to knock teachers. There's something systemically that is happening that is distancing young people from what is happening with poetry right now in this country. Because whenever I perform, people say to me, "Oh my gosh, I hated poetry. I never understood poetry. I didn't understand Shakespeare." I love Shakespeare, by the way. But when I hear you, I get excited, I get animated, I relate. When I hear you, I hear myself. So how do we bring these voices of contemporary poets that have expanded the notion of poetry in South Africa post-democracy, that have allowed for so many more people to see themselves inside of poetry? How do we include these voices inside of this larger story of South African poetry that has been used as a tool of colonial resistance, of resistance against apartheid, as a tool of imagination and creativity? What tool can we use poetry for right now? What burning questions has poetry asked throughout history, and what questions can it continue to answer?
I mean, I pretty much feel like you've asked all the questions, so we'll just double back and pick out one or two. By the way, also joining us in conversation is Ketugu Tula Jele, who is a director and stage manager, and is part of Kwasha, and of course partnering with Lebu Mashile on this project, Revolution of Words, which is bringing together grade 11 and 12 prescribed poems with the voices of today. And I think, I also, as you said, Lebuguti, it must have been a daunting task, just the enormity of the body of work that was before you. How do you then begin to even consolidate, the various materials in order to streamline into the singular production?
It was very challenging for the three of us, and I really want to thank Quaz and Jade for the role that they play and for the incredible work that they do, mentoring and teaching these young people to love the arts. We had to look at what was the story that we needed to tell? What did we want to say about South African history, about contemporary South Africa, about the role of poetry? What do we want to say about language, the multiplicity of language, how people use languages in different ways, how language is political? What do we want to say about our encounters with English? What do we want to say about resistance through language? What do we want to say about the use of poetry in different mediums like hip hop? What do we want to say about contemporary writers and contemporary issues and contemporary struggles that may not necessarily have been explored previously in South African literature? For example, queerness, or how do we create links between issues that young people were facing in 1976 and issues that young people are facing now? How do we show the continuity of struggle? So we looked at poems that what purpose, what story do we need to tell, and how do we fit these poems into the story that we are trying to tell about South Africa? It was a very difficult job. The first round, I think we had like, it felt like hundreds of poems. We whittled it down. I left with like a huge pile of poems that I had to whittle down and then create a narrative out of. I think my first draft of the script was like 3 hours. I drove Jade crazy. And then she had to do the ruthless job of slashing, and her and Quaz debated on the floor what would be in, what would be out. I stayed out of it because but that part of the process is not nice, especially as the writer, So I mean, there's if hoya ka nna, if it was my choice, I would do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6 of Revolution of Words, because there's so many seminal writers, and writing is, the South African literature is constantly evolving and growing in different ways. Poetry now is digital. You have writers like Mbali Malimela from KZN, writes in isiZulu, but the most beautiful lyrical poetry. She makes short films. She's got a huge following online. You have poets with YouTube channels. You have poets graduating from AFTA. You have poets doing community work. You have poets who still are doing the work that we understand, struggle poets to do, who will stand up in front of Market Theatre and in front of that Brenda Fassie statue and say their poem to the people. And you have poets who are traveling the world saying their poetry, on the grandest stages that the planet knows. And that's like the power of South African poetry. So if we could tell the story 10 different ways, we would, but we had to fit it into one piece. So my heart is still sore about the darlings that we had to kill.
Let's take a quick pause here for the headline news. We'll come back and we'll jump in Uketu Tula into the conversation. It's just gone 1:30. It's time to catch up with the headlines.
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's
having a conversation with award-winning poet and writer Lebo Mashile alongside Ketuk Tula Jele, who is a director and stage manager, and they've come together as part of a team presenting Revolution of Words, which curated grade 11 and grade 12 prescribed poems with voices of today, performed by Kwasha's Theatre Company. Ketuk Tula, let's jump you into this conversation. As we talk about poetry, one of the things that stand out for me is the question around how do we use poetry, spoken word, as a developmental tool, which I think also speaks to a lot of the work that you do with Kwasha.
Yes. So, I think, firstly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Connected. Hi, this level, everyone. So, I think it's very important. Firstly, I think we're at a time where we saw as a generation, there's so much that people are saying about us as young people. The fact that we always on our phones, we that generation that's just lost in so many different ways. And I think art has the unique ability of helping you ground yourself, So I think it's very important for a child just in terms of identity, first and foremost, And I think the art or the work that we do has basically helped us with that, whether Kwasha has been facilitating, because they also do facilitation work beyond the process. But I think it's been so interesting to use the piece itself as an entry to South as well. I think Sislebo said something earlier about the importance of, because South Africa almost has like this history, like pre-apartheid and then post-apartheid. And there's constantly this work of having to search and having to find yourself and having to find your voice. And we are artists, we're in a space where we're so concerned, oh my goodness, do I have a voice? Is there an audience for my voice? What am I going to say? Is it relevant, And poetry has this beautiful thing in that it's literally existing it's a world. A few lines literally create a world. And then that engagement teaches you how to frame yourself, teaches you how to build, this frame not necessarily so you can box yourself in, but a way of entry and a way of finding yourself, in a way of navigating. So identity has been really important for us, not just through this piece, but also the work that Basha has been doing, because they have another work that they do. It's called Press Play. And Press Play is also about that, the idea that, young people, we apparently call this generation that's so lost, but we're not lost. In fact, we do have the answers. We just need to have the courage to look up from our phones and all these screens and pick up a book and engage. But what beyond then that engagement, we actually have the ability to speak back to the issues that we're facing as young people. And so, our voice has been something that's very important in the work that we do, whether in facilitation or in this poetry piece or in any other work that they've created.
On the topic of relatability, Lebu pointed out the fact that oftentimes there's this disconnect between poetry and young people, and that's probably because the poetry that is taught to them is not reflective of their lived experience or who they are. How do you sort of begin to build that kind of relatability, to build that kind of curiosity, so that we can actually grip those grade 10s, grade 11s, and grade 12s into the medium?
So can I tell you something that was interesting that started coming out of the rehearsal room? We suddenly were landing ourselves in a space that says nothing is actually new under the sun. So we have this thing that it almost feels like this poetry doesn't speak to us. It doesn't, it's foreign, like it's dated and all of that stuff. But weirdly enough, the more you dive into it, sometimes you end up feeling like we are facing the same things just in different ways, right? And so that was interesting, because then it was, number one, finding the relevance of history. And so I think that's the one thing that we're trying to do when we're talking about relatability, to say we're showing history, but we want to help you see yourself in history and see the history in today. And it's a bit sad to say that, because then part of it almost suggests that we almost saying that some of the issues that were the use of the history had faced are still you facing today, or a different form of it. But if you think of things like, fees must fall and all of those stuff, those are some of the challenges that, the idea of protest, the idea of having to, stand up for yourself, that's something that's not foreign to the history that we have, right? But I think it's then about saying what are the ethics, what are the values, what are the characteristics that we can find, because poetry doesn't just give you beautiful words, it also encourages you to be something. It constantly has a call that it is making out to you. And for us, the thing about relatability is then saying we must just lift the call. The call says, do not be silent. The call says, do not think that you do not have the power, And so it's about just making the young people to see that they have the power, they have the voice. Yeah.
Lebu, as we wrap the conversation, I know that there's going to be performances of this piece throughout September. Are you inviting everybody to come through and explore the production?
Oh, yes. Everybody must come through and explore the production, please. So we have shows today for schools and also shows for the general public. The school shows take place every day from now until, today and tomorrow at 1:30. And then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there are a combination of afternoon and evening shows, So I'd advise people to go online, go either onto the UJ Arts and Culture social media pages on Instagram, on Facebook. They're very, very good and they're very thorough. Or you can go onto Quicket and check. A lot of the time, UJ, because they're trying to build audiences and develop, a market, a sustainable market for this kind of work. We want young people to see this piece. We want this piece to tour. We want people to come. We want families to come. We want arty parents to bring their children who have never seen a play before. If you've never seen a play before and you're curious about it, come and watch this play. So we are inviting people. When you go online onto the UJ Arts and Culture page, it'll direct you to a booking form. Please allow UJ Arts and Culture to capture your details. You'll be sent a ticket, and you are more than welcome to come. But please make sure that you come, because if you book a ticket and you don't use the ticket, you will not be allowed to register and book tickets on the portal in future. So
Oh.
if you commit. It's a very generous offering, but the price is your commitment.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for the time and for the conversation. That was award-winning poet, author, and producer Lebo Mashila, and of course Ketuk Tula Jela, director and stage manager. That production, Revolution of Words, is being presented at UJ Arts and Culture, and you can go and see it during the course of this weekend until the 20th, which is Saturday, and tickets are available on quicket.co.za. It's 2 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause here, and then we come back on the other side and we get into another stages, pages, screens, and more item.
Hello, hello. My name is Rifilwe Madubo, also known as Fikile Maponya, your rich, bougie auntie who takes no nonsense. I made it out of the ghetto and into the penthouse, CEO of Maponya Media. Make sure to catch Generations The Legacy every Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. SABC 1.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
So this year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the heart and art of jazz. From the 26th to the 27th and 28th of September, you can see Omusangare, Abopemu, Jasmine Horn, and of course Noisemakers, Nash Jonk Trio, Michelle Ndengocello, Gabby Matuba, and really over 50 world-class acts that will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages at the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster right now.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
It's literally just, about a week and a little bit to go before that Joy of Jazz Festival happens. It's happening next weekend. So you better hurry up and get your tickets if you haven't gotten your tickets as yet. We'll be giving away one final set of tickets on the show today. So if you know that you entered the competition in August and you've been waiting for a phone call from us, you better hold on tight to that phone. Right now, though, Dr. Farida Nazir is joining us, curator of Impact is a Verb, a group exhibition. The Faculty of Art, Design and Architecture, which is FADA, is preparing for this exhibition that is opening, featuring 14 academics, associates and artists in residency. How are you doing this afternoon, Doc?
Hi there. Hi, Bridget. Thank you very much for having me. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for the time. So let's get into it. Impact is a Verb, a group exhibition. Firstly, I always love to understand the concept behind the title of any exhibition. So let's break that down as the gateway to our conversation.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so this exhibition really came about through this idea that I had about the notion of impact. And as we know, the University of Johannesburg, one of our tenets is really about social impact. So I thought it would be really important for us to speak to that in various ways, through creative modes, through kind of illustrative modes, and through different types of representations. So what I did was I invited colleagues, academics from different departments and faculties, through a call for participation a couple of months ago. And then basically they responded to a prompt that spoke about this word impact in various ways. So for instance, our usual connotations of impact is thinking about a collision or a crash or like a meteorite, like cars crashing. And there's negative connotations to it. But there's, of course, also the more positive connotations that speaks to kind of social good. What is the type of impact you are having on others, on the environment, and so forth? So I wanted to really explore the expanse of what this word impact means, both in the moment that it happens, but also the after effects. So what is it that impact brings about? Yeah.
And part of the sort of extended question for the exhibition, right, is an invitation to audience to also reflect on the meaning of impact for themselves as they go through and expose themselves to the exhibition.
Absolutely. And I think that it is most certainly, like we are 30 odd years on after democracy, and there's a lot that's been happening over this transitional period. And of course, people have now been able to really settle into the kind of post-apartheid milieu, and we have a range of issues, a range of things to celebrate, etc., etc. And of course, if we do anything in the world to elicit some sort of transformation, we really wanted to have an impact that is positive at the end of the day. And the work speaks to various factors. So for instance, what are we looking at in terms of our memories of the past? Looking at archival processes, thinking about material, fabric, fashion, thinking about indigenous knowledges, thinking about our more recent history around apartheid and so forth, and what that means for the present day. So there's so many different themes that came out of the prompt. Impact is the verb. So what is it that impact means if it means something that we do and not just a noun, which is really what was the impact historically, Yeah.
I mean, a very broad exploration with this particular exhibition, and looking forward to it. So is it... It's opening on the 18th, which is 2 days from now. But are you having a healthy run, or is it at a limited time frame at FADA?
So, yes, we are opening on the 18th at 6 with an amazing performance that includes drawing as well as sound and musical kind of interpretation of that drawing. And that runs for like half an hour. So that is really something special that one would need to be there to be able to see. And then the exhibition runs for 30 days until the 17th of October.
Awesome stuff. Dr. Farida, thank you so much for the time. That was Dr. Farida Nazir, curator of Impact is a Verb. And of course, FADA is where you can go and explore that, the Faculty of Art, Design and Architecture Gallery. And it's opening on the 18th of September at the University of Johannesburg. They're doing a lot of exciting things at UJ. It's summertime now, so there'll be lots by way of the cultural calendar. It's approaching 10:02. We're going to take a pause here, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to have a conversation around our need as a country for new artisans each year. And we probably should be talking trade schools, but there's always a weird negative connotation around trade schools, just socially for some reason. So we're going to be in conversation with the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools in just a matter of moments.
This summer, the continent unites for the biggest football showdown in Africa. The Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is coming to your screens, live and available on SABC TV channels, SABC Sport, SABC Plus, and across your favorite SABC radio stations. Catch all 52 thrilling matches, stand behind Bafana Bafana, and experience every goal, every cheer, and every victory from 21 December 2025 to 18 January 2026. SABC Sport brings you all the AFCON 2025 action, live and free, because it's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to SAFM Radio this Heritage Month. Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
All right, we're getting into another conversation now. We moved on from stages, pages, screens, and more, and we're having a conversation around the country's need for 30,000 new artisans each year. That's what South Africa needs each year to keep its economy moving, but it's consistently producing far fewer. So we thought we'd catch up with Kevin Buray, who's the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools, to walk us through this. How are you doing this afternoon, Kevin?
Bridget, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's only a pleasure. We appreciate the time. So the need is for around 30,000 new artisans each year. But for some reason, we're producing far fewer than that. Where is the disconnect between what we need and what we're producing?
Bridget, I think the disconnect comes from the old days when people went to trade schools, and it was sort of frowned upon. You know, you were looked at as though you weren't good enough to make it to matric, so you went off to a trade school. And the second issue is that if one goes to a TVET college, which is a government college, the entrance requirements are pretty unreachable for a lot of these kids. You know, some of them you need to have a grade 12, you need to have higher math, physical science, which is it's a problem for a lot of them.
When we look at also, here's the other thing that I want us to maybe get clarity on during this conversation: the difference between TVET colleges and trade schools. What is the nuanced offering there or differentiator?
Okay, so they're essentially the same, except that a TVET college is government funded and ours is private.
Okay.
We take students from the age of 15 or grade 9. Doesn't mean they have to have passed grade 9, up to the age of 19 years old. So the TVET college typically is bound by the Department of Higher Education, and they follow what they call a learnership. And a learnership is theory and practical, but a lot of theory, not so much practical. The theory and practical don't necessarily align with each other when the students go and do the practical. In our case, students come to us, they do probably 15% theory and 85% practical with us in our workshops here. And then we place them into apprenticeships with our partner networks. And that's a difficult part for these youngsters. To find an apprenticeship these days is extremely difficult. I think we're pretty fortunate because we've built up a bit of a reputation. So we have some really good partners, companies that work with us and even come and ask us for students. So once they've completed 33 months of on-the-job experience, they're very experienced.
Yeah.
They will go through and do the trade test without batting their eyelids.
Yeah. Kevin, part of the problem that you highlight in your opinion piece that I think a lot of South Africans, are familiar with this conversation is that we have thousands of teenagers, schoolgoers who enter the system every year and thousands who sort of struggle and don't make it through mainstream schooling, don't matriculate, don't get their higher certification. and ultimately leave school, not as graduates with very little opportunity ahead of them. And this is a problem that we face as a country. How do we sort of begin to tap into the offerings of trade schools and maybe even change that social mindset you were talking about, that seems to have a negative connotation on the very good work that trade schools could do for South African youth who, are not mainstream, who have different talents and different gifts that might not be the traditional academic type?
For sure. Bridget, we see loads of it. We see students that come here that want to apply. They are just never going to make it to matric or grade 12. It's just they're not geared that way. It's not to say that they are stupid. It's just a different gearing in the mindset. But we bring them in here and we put them into a little bit of theory and in practical. And it's like the lights go on. These guys absolutely thrive, and I mean the majority of them. They're doing something that they enjoy, so not subjects that they dislike, and they don't write exams and tests. And it's, in the beginning, I must be honest, we had a bit of resistance from some of the schools, the mainstream schools, because they felt that we were perhaps trying to poach their students, and they want to push them on to grade 12. But over the past, I think a lot of them have come to realize that it's not sustainable. You can't keep trying to force these guys. They fail and they fail again, and they push them through to the next grade. And then eventually they drop out and they go do a bit of homeschooling. And then, it just go off the tracks a lot of the time. We also have a number of students here that suffer with all sorts of learning barriers, from ADHD to SLDs to even on the spectrum, autism. And these guys generally do exceptionally well. We've got a lot of patience for them, and as long as they are interested and motivated, we're very happy to work with them. And some of them have gone off to do exceptionally well.
Yeah. I also want to get an understanding on some of the programs that you offer at New Gen Trade Schools. You spoke about obviously also collaborating with accredited and vetted partners to offer apprenticeships to your students. Walk us through what programs might look like at a trade school, because I think maybe that's the other thing, is our lack of understanding of how trade schools actually work, what kind of skills and development and education, and how all of that sort of segues together.
Sure. So the first thing is we don't have any entry criteria. There's no subjects or marks or anything like that. It's 15 or a grade 9. They would come in here. Currently we offer electrical and plumbing, or electrical or plumbing, whichever they choose. And then we also do business management with them, and we do life skills. So typical day would be 8 till 12:30 day in the classroom or in the workshop, mostly in the workshops, doing whatever their particular trade is. And then after lunch, they all go off to business and management, where we teach them the fundamentals of opening and running a small business, how to register a business, how to do a quotation and do a stock take and write a CV. What is it like when you get to an apprenticeship? So this is where the life skills come in. What do you expect? You're a 16-year-old, you're going to the workplace, and there's going to be older people there that have been perhaps working there for 6 months or 10 years. What should you expect? And we try our best to gear them and get them ready for this, because it's not school and it's not a holiday, and you can't come late every second morning, and you can't go home because your tummy's sore, things like that. So It's really just prepping them. We are aiming to add some additional trades. I don't want to expand too much at this stage, but probably next year when we go into our new school, our new building. And then we also want to introduce skills development. So students that may not go all the way to get a trade, but they can certainly gain some skills in a particular line.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin, let's leave it there for this afternoon. The line is also failing us a little bit, but I think we got all of the necessary information. That was Kevin Bure, who is the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools. And it could be something, if you're listening and you're a parent and you have a child that is perhaps not academically inclined, because we don't all learn and develop the same. And you could find that your kid is more entrepreneurial in thinking. They're a lot better with using their hands and being more practical in how they develop and learn. And so trade school might just be an option. And I always say this, hey, you should not shun at trade industries. Things like plumbing offer you a wealth of opportunity as a young entrepreneur. You go from being a plumbing apprentice one day to running your own plumbing business and employing tens of people underneath you. So there's infinite possibilities there. And of course, we know this, that the country's forever calling for more artisans each year. So there's opportunity there to be harnessed indeed. It could be something worth exploring, if not with New Gen Trade Schools, perhaps with a Tivet College or another institution that offers something similar. It is 2 o'clock on the dot. It's time for us to catch up with the news, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll continue our conversation.
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. 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 SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily.
Proud to partner with Africa's biggest marketing conference, the Nedbank IMC. One day, 25 top speakers, including 6 global keynotes. The theme this year is Marketing is Business, and anyone in the business of communication should be there. The conference is taking place on the 18th of September in person in Johannesburg or online via www.imcconference.com. Marketing is Business.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Let's get into a song as the second hour of the show. We're going to get into a musical item and then we'll come back and get into conversation.
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. Daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. 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 Daily.
Third studio album, Ina Eti, right? It came out around about 2011, if I'm not mistaken. But she'd been writing and singing and producing music, obviously, prior to that. It goes to show that sometimes your work is not like an overnight success, but when you do hit that sweet spot, there's just no turning back. And she released a brand new body of work. I think it was in 2023, end of 2023, as we wrapped up the year. Ember was her most recent studio album. I'm not too sure how that's done, but I'm pretty sure because it is Zonke, it's probably done fairly well. It's always such a tricky one to get her to come into studio because she's forever performing. And I get the feeling the older Zonke becomes, and the more she becomes settled as a living icon, the less media she does. The less and less she's pulling back more and more from doing just media for the sake of doing media. She literally just releases music and says very little about it, and is in direct communication with her fans through social media. That is how we enter the second hour of the show. Zonke coming through with Tonight. We're going to get into our next conversation now with Busi Malloy, who's a biotechnologist and co-founder of Sawubona Mycelium. I hope I've got that correct. How are you doing this afternoon, Busi?
I'm very well, thank you, Bertha. How are you?
It's Bridget, but I'm okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
Bridget. Sorry, Bridget.
It's okay. I mean, listen.
I'm so nervous.
No. Don't stress. Don't stress. Whenever I take an unsolicited day off, Bertha is always holding down the fort for me. So I know a lot of folks sometimes say it's Bertha. Are you good?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome.
Are you good?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. I mean, let's have this conversation. Let's have this conversation about the beauty industry. And how it's long overlooked the needs of melanin-rich skin. Those of us who grew up as in the 90s when we sort of became teenagers and started discovering skincare, we know all too well that there was very little product that catered to melanated skin out there.
That is correct. And surprisingly, it's still the situation. I was doing research, obviously, when I'm doing developing these products, is that globally only about 13% still of women of color find products that work for them. So it's about time we actually changed that narrative, and it's slowly changing, and the big brands are also realizing that they need to cater for melanated skin, and that not one size fits all. We have different skin types. We have differences in skin based on where we come from, whether in Africa or European. And on top of that, there's also that differences between Caucasian and dark skin. So it's actually encouraging that to see that it's changing, but it's obviously going very slow.
Yeah. And, as you talk about just the varying needs, Busi, we have a regular feature on the show, Skin Deep, with Dr. Judy Pretorius, who is in the sector like you. And she's done a great job at educating us on the nuance of skin, like you've just highlighted. The region you come from, even within a particular country, whether you're coming from the inland or coastal, your skin requires different things. How do we begin to sort of have a more localized approach to skincare? Is it by getting more game players like yourself who understand the varying needs of women and men by extension within different territories?
And that's correct, right? We have to take an active stance in interest in doing the research, in finding out what are the differences and how do we then best serve the community that we operate in. And one of is localization. So as much as the big brand, because if you look in our shelves currently, a lot of the brands that we sell or that we buy are actually imported, right? Are global brands that exist everywhere. The origin of those products are from outside of South Africa or even Africa, to say the least. So if we then customize, we call it customization. Localization is also about customization, right? You're solving the problems that exist in your locale. So that way you best understand the consumer need, then you are able to then formulate according to the needs that exist in the market that you operate in. And part of that is actually localizing, having more of us like Blue Barrel operating in the locations.
When you talk about localizing skincare, it's interesting the engagement we've had with product at times. I remember a couple of years ago, one of the big hair care manufacturers coming out of France developed a natural range, which was really good, right? For natural urban hair. And they brought it into South Africa, but the formulation when it came into South Africa was not responsive to the environment of South Africa. It was drying out the hair, etc., etc. And I remember them taking the feedback from their customers online and even coming on my radio show at that time saying, we've received feedback that the product is good, but however, it's not good enough in its current formulation for South African ethnic hair. And so we've pulled it off the shelf to reformulate it so that it's better for this environment. And this is what we're talking about here when we're talking about localizing skincare and formulating for the best results for where you are operating.
That is correct. And that's exactly how it should happen, right? Is to say, for example, we the birth of Blue Barrel was based from my friends, listening to my friends talk about the problems that they have with their skin, and me understanding the research that I do is to then say, what can I do? What can my products do that will help the exact problems that actually exist within the community or within the customer base in South Africa? So by understanding those problems, then you are better able to select the correct ingredients, the correct bioactives to then work against those problems that the customers are experiencing. And essentially that's how you then formulate based on feedback that you get as well.
Yeah.
So we do still have that feedback. And I wanted to also add is to say that global brands, obviously, when they do test efficacy of their ingredients or efficacy of their product, they obviously target the communities or the customers that exist around where they operate. And most of the time, it might not have obviously melanated skin individuals within that. So for me, it was very important when we did do the tests, when we do the efficacy testing, to also include, because that's what a lot of our customer base are, melanin skin or melanin rich individual or people of color, is to also include those when we do the testing so that we can be sure that it actually works against those skin types as well.
Yeah. I just want to pause here, Busi, for a quick break. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock. We'll come back on the other side and maybe dig a little bit deeper as well as to, what makes melanin-rich skin so unique and some of those common challenges, perhaps, that people with darker skin tones face when it comes to skincare. It is The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Baby Proteas will take part in the Netball World Youth Cup 2025 in Gibraltar from the 19th until the 28th of September 2025. These are rising stars. Hashtag Together We Rise, brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
All right, we're in conversation with Busi Moloi, who's a biotechnologist and co-founder of Sawubona Mycelium, and the founder as well of Blue Barrel. And Busi, let's talk about what is it that makes melanin-rich skin so unique, and perhaps even some of those common challenges that those of us with darker skin tones face, especially when it comes to skincare.
So obviously one of the obvious things is that we are melanated, and with that means we kind of like have the ability, or our skin have the ability to block more of the sun rays, right? The damaging sun rays. But that doesn't mean that our skin don't get affected by, for example, environmental factors or as we age. And one of the things that we don't realize as Black people is that we are actually, our skin is prone to sensitivity, right? And that is exacerbated as we age. That is also exacerbated by the food that we eat or even the environment. So we still need to take care of our skin, contrary to most popular demand that we don't actually need a skincare routine. And it's very important to do that, right? And the routine that we have changes with age. When we are younger, we have different needs in terms of how our skincare is growing. And when we're getting older, the same applies, right? And the environmental factors actually makes our skin even more sensitive. I mean, we have damage from the sun itself, damage from dust and everything that actually strips our skin. So we need to keep on keeping our skin healthy, making sure that our skin is strong enough to protect us from the dangers of the environment. So I think that's most of the misconception about dark skin doesn't require skincare routine.
Is it also safe for us to assume that there is an advantage for African, product manufacturers like yourself to exploit some of our indigenous African knowledge and incorporate that into skincare brands that are uniquely African for African environments?
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk about natural skincare products or natural ingredients, we almost always, or we have been taught, or we know that Chinese medicine is what has been helpful, almost like they are the only ones who have been doing natural remedies. And yet we know our grandmothers and their parents have had their own remedies based on plants, based on even mushrooms, for that matter, right? It's about tapping into those remedies, those age-old remedies, and combining them with science, because back then my grandmother knew that this remedy works, but she might not know how it works, but she knows it works, right? So now when you bring in science, you say, we know it works, but how does it work? And then that way you understand how it can then influence some of the other problems that we experience, and then you are able to formulate products accordingly.
How trusting are we as consumers of locally produced brands?
I think growing up, we've been brainwashed to consume a lot of things from outside the country. We almost don't have that trust that some of the solutions that we need can actually exist from South Africa, for example, as my reference point, right? So some of the brands like myself or other brands locally, they almost like struggle to have to convince the customers or consumers that the science is just as good as global brands, or the research done locally is just as good as research done overseas, right? So it's a matter of keep on educating the consumers that we actually do the things that needs to be done. We have researched the same way as global brands have done. And we have the added advantage of we understand the problems that the customers have, and this is how we are planning on resolving those those problems.
The other thing in the conversation, Busi, is also our own sort of socialization, particularly as Africans, around skincare. You find a lot of people, because, generally melanated skin really is good skin. It's the good stuff. So a lot of people grow up going, I don't use anything. Washing sunlight and I put a little Vaseline and I'm good. And it's hard to break that kind of thinking. I mean, I see it even in my own circle of friends at times. No matter how worldly people are, it's hard for people to break that thinking and start exploring outside of the green bar and the Vaseline. So how do we begin to have those conversations?
It's about education, right? A week ago, I was having a conversation with another lady. She was also adamant that the green bar works for her.
Yeah.
But then when I start saying to her, but don't you feel like this after using the green bar? And she's like, yeah, actually I do. And I'm like, it's because it's stripping your skin, because you shouldn't feel tight and dry after using a green bar or any other soap, right? Because then you know that it's gentle on your skin. So, and then I ask, after that, what do you do? I use Vaseline. Vaseline is good for keeping moisture in, but it doesn't provide the moisture for your skin. You need to have moisture provided. Yes, you can put Vaseline on top, because then at least it prevents your skin from losing the moisture. Throughout the day, we are exposed to the aircon the whole day. It dries our skin. The same feeling you get when it's winter.
Yeah.
You feel like your skin is dry, even though you had Vaseline during the day, and that's why a lot of people use so much Vaseline during winter so that the skin doesn't get dry, right? So it's to then make people aware that whatever you're feeling with regards to your skin, you must react to it. It's actually trying to tell you something. A joke I told my friends is that I use a specific roll-on. For a while, I would scratch my armpits because it's itchy, but it didn't click to me that it might be the roll-on. My daughter started using roll-on, and she'll say, but I don't like this roll-on. It makes my armpits itchy. Then I stopped using the same roll-on and switched thing, and then my itching stopped. But it didn't click on me that the itching might be related to the product I'm using.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's almost like we're not even aware when our bodies are telling us something. So it's just to be aware, take notice of, I'm sure this note is not supposed to be correct. This is not supposed to be the way it is. And then once you are aware of those situations, then you can start thinking about, what can I change, in terms of my skincare routine or the products that I use?
Absolutely. Busi, we appreciate the time. We have to leave it there for this afternoon. That was Busi Molloy, a biotechnologist and co-founder of Sawubona Mycelium. It is approaching 2:30 on Delay standing by with the headline news. And then after that, we're going to get into our kids programming. Kids Corner is coming up before we come back and catch up with some innovators behind a device called Kada. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Kada. It's a pocket-sized device that's breaking tech boundaries for the blind.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, a 61.
Get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
Time for us to give away our final ticket to the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. So if you know that you entered the competition, then you should be standing by, clutching onto your phone if you are hoping to be joining us come that weekend of the 26th. But before we get to that, we're going to catch up with the innovator behind the Kada device. It's a pocket-sized device that's breaking tech boundaries for the blind. Tiejo Tiane joins us now in conversation. How are you doing this afternoon, Tiejo?
Good, and you? How are you doing, David?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get to this conversation because this is a device that is breaking tech boundaries for the blind. And in fact, making communication that much more accessible. Tell me how you came to this innovation, because I know it's on the back of a personal story that ignited this thinking.
Oh, yes. There's a friend of mine who runs an NGO in the Free State by the name of Tamano Blind Association. So my friend actually suffers from what we call ptosis disease. So it's when his eyelid just automatically shuts itself without him shutting it. So how he actually uses his phone is that he literally has to hold his eyelid and stare straight into the phone. So over the years of doing that, that has actually led to further eye damage and even consistent headaches. And even within that NGO, we came across people that are totally blind. So for them to actually select a specific application on the phone, they consistently had to tap on the screen and to listen if they've selected the right application. And this often led to them unintentionally selecting the wrong app in a crowded place. It made it very difficult for them to hear what kind of activity they're performing on their phone. And personally, I felt like it makes them much more vulnerable for criminal activity. So that was the whole inspiration on the reason why I decided to develop the Kada device.
Yeah. And tell us how, you said it's pronounced Kada.
So, hello?
Tiejo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So this Kada device of yours, how does it work? Tell me how it works, because it works in tandem with a smartphone.
Yes, it works with the smartphone. So the device consists of two components, a wearable hardware and a mobile application. So the moment you pay the hardware, the hardware with the app, it's paid by Bluetooth. And what it does is that it will communicate with the application on the phone, and the app will take all the applications on the phone, put them as a list under it, and already has a built-in voice function. And then for use of the hardware, that just has 4 buttons. It makes it easier for them to move from one app to another, enter specific application, navigate within that application, and then they can make phone calls. And when there's an incoming call, what the hardware does, it will vibrate. And simply for them pressing enter on the hardware, it automatically answers the smartphone. And simply by pressing exit, it hangs up the phone. And when there's an incoming message, it vibrates differently compared to an incoming call. And it simply press enter, and then it reads out the text message. And what it does, it also creates a provision for any Bluetooth earpiece to connect with the phone at the device at the same time. That way, it will create that sense of privacy while they're navigating their phone in a public space.
You know, you speak 1,000 words a minute, so I want to slow you down a little bit, so that because I think this is to the advantage of a lot of our listeners who are blind, for them to get this information. Just let's rewind it back 2 steps in terms of, so this is an application in itself that you then download on your phone.
Yes, it's it has an application and a wearable hardware. So it's a combination of software and a hardware.
Okay, so there's the software and then there's the wearable hardware.
Yes, there's the wearable hardware.
Okay.
So now, when you start, you need to connect the wearable hardware with the phone, and it's connected via Bluetooth.
All right.
So the moment it's connected, it will communicate with the mobile application, the Kada mobile application, which is installed on the phone. So what the software does, it takes all the applications on the phone, puts them as a list under it, and it already has a built-in voice function. So they don't need to go to settings and turn on the voice function.
Yeah.
And then through use of the wearable hardware, which has 4 buttons, up, down, enter exit, it makes it easier for them to move from one app to another. They press enter, they enter specific application, and then they can navigate within that application. And the moment they press exit on the wearable hardware, it gets out on it gets out that application, and then what it does is that when there's an incoming call on the phone, the wearable hardware will vibrate, and simply by pressing enter on the wearable hardware, they are able to answer the phone call. And
I
then,
see.
And then if they want to hang up the phone call, they just press exit, and then it hangs up the phone call. And when there's an incoming message, it will vibrate the incoming call.
Yeah.
And simply by pressing enter, it will read out the text message for them.
Okay.
And then what it does is that mostly we recommend that people pay any Bluetooth earpiece or use the device in conjunction with an earpiece. That way, it will create that sense of privacy while they're actually navigating or making phone calls or reading text messages on their phone in a public space, creating that sense of privacy for them. Yes.
Now, let's talk about the affordability part of this, right? Because a lot of South Africans, there's more than 8 million visually impaired people in South Africa, blind people in South Africa, living in disadvantaged communities, the most of them. How does this technology and this innovation bridge the gap between affordability and accessibility?
So what we did, we made sure that in terms of manufacturing the device, it's 100% manufactured in South Africa, and all components are bought within South Africa. That kind of assisted us in bringing the price down. So currently, just to purchase one device, it costs 1.5. But what we also are planning on doing is introducing different payment methods where users can actually pay a certain amount monthly for them to be able to use the device, knowing that mostly our users are mostly people that are dependent on social grants. So we're working on various ways on making it affordable, and we're also trying to push for institutional sales where some organization or government department can buy these devices on behalf of people that are visually impaired. But unlike what's currently out there in the market, what we do is that we just don't give the users the devices. We actually do on-site training and also monitor the health of the device. And if they have any problems, they can communicate with us directly.
I see. And the purchase fee, is that a once-off fee? I know you're working on different structures of funding models, but that 1,500, that would be a once-off. And that guarantees what, a lifespan of use for the device?
Yes, that's a once-off fee, and the users can use the device. But then, as time goes on, and there are more functionalities that are actually added on the devices, that's when different subscription will start kicking in.
I see. And obviously, you've done the testing, the beta testing and everything else. And what has been some of the feedback from, your friend who I presume probably got the first prototype, as well as other folks in the blind community?
Actually, based on user feedback, some people are actually happy, especially when the ability for them to communicate with their loved ones and without the need of them forever consistently tapping on the screen and actually finding it very difficult for them to select a specific application. But even beyond the feedback that we received, there were some good suggestions that they actually required us to do. And one of those things is for the app, for the device to ability to convert messages and app contact into users' preferred languages in which we want to incorporate different African languages. And the other feedback is that they wanted ability for them to actually send messages. Because currently, at the current stage, you can only receive message, but you can't respond to the message. And by doing that has actually sparked more ideas, and we're actually working on the final product where we're incorporating some of these functionalities before we can fully commercialize the product into the market.
Got you.
But in general, the feedback has been great, especially when it comes to basic communication with loved ones and the ability to read text messages without people knowing or interfering in that information and knowing what's actually written in their message.
Well, listen, it sounds like you're onto something there. We appreciate the time. That was Tiejo Tsiani coming through, the innovator behind Gada, which is a pocket-sized device that's making communication a little bit more accessible for blind communities. We're going to take a quick pause and then we come back in our final moments and we give away the final set of those tickets to the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz.
SAFM's award-winning drama department presents to you the radio drama series Skyline.
Press to cockpit medical emergency now.
Cabin crew to your stations.
Where the skies promise adventure, but behind the cabin doors, untold secrets are found.
He's signing off on cheap parts they installed like it's nothing.
Catch the radio drama series every Saturday at 9 p.m. on SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle. This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has
iterations to it. It's crazy. She was born Michelle Lynn Johnson. That's her government name, as Americans would say. And then through the course of her career, it's morphed, to Michelle Ndengo. But also, her credit name for a lot of her mid-career projects, she uses the name Michelle Suela Bashir Shakur. So it's a lot. It can be very confusing sometimes with artists as they unpack and discover new elements and new parts of themselves. But she's credited as helping to spark the neo-soul movement. And of course, Michelle Ndengo Cello is going to be on the conga stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, which is happening that last weekend of the month at the Sandton Convention Center. That's where you can join us. You can probably still pick up a last-minute ticket. I don't know, don't quote me on it because they go fast. But you might want to try your luck at ticketmaster.co.za. Who is he and what is he to you was the name of that particular song. We're giving away one last ticket to one lucky winner today. Let's see who is on the line. Hello.
Hi, Bridget. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain.
I'm fabulous. And I hope you're having a good day.
I'm having a good day, Bridget. I was listening to that melanin conversation. I'm like, wow, really? We need to dig deep.
Are you a green bar girl?
I'm not a green bar girl, but my girl is a brown-skinned girl, my daughter.
Yes.
And she was bullied, Shane.
Oh, no. We need to do better. We need to do better.
Yeah, we need to do better.
But hopefully I can make your good day become an even greater day by saying congratulations to you.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, new mommy.
It's only a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Is there anyone in particular you're looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to see I hope Super Hot Sticks can take a stage with Andy Leyenana and they do Tababusiu.
Ooh, well, listen, you never know, hey? Because artists are still finalizing their set list, so you just never know.
And Tandintuli. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, those are your two that you were like, let me be front and center.
My homie, Bagiti, Undutuzo Makachini. Oh, even bad fun. So my Friday lineup is Friday lineup
yakho ne? Well, I know who'll be screaming the loudest then on Friday. Enhle, you must have a great week further, and we'll see you on Friday at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Thank you so much for celebrating our 89th birthday with us. That is it. That's all the tickets we've had to give away over the course of this month. Unfortunately, if you didn't win with us this time, there's always next time around. And for everybody else who walked away a recipient of those double tickets, we look forward to seeing you come this next weekend, as we usher in the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. From myself and my team, we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day further. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily.
Reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.